I love the idea of kind of explaining Breach as more of a reactive character that could still find tons of value. So it's interesting because you've got the double Neon still in the mix, but a big difference in terms of mentality around the supporting cast that surrounds that Neon.
I think what's so important, though, on the side of Ghost Gaming and within that conversation about the Breach and then the fade that we're also seeing within their composition is the fact that with the double controller setup that we're seeing out of 100 Thieves, it gives a lot of opportunity to try and re-clear past a lot of those smokes, deny those lines of sights that toxic screen is trying to occlude over on the defense. And I think that you also look at the fact that 100 Thieves, they haven't played Lotus, not even under that Aussie and Friends banner. And so this is kind of like an out-of-pocket pick for them. They can take us by surprise, but I feel like with us seeing them start out on defense, knowing that Misu's also subbing in, she has so much experience under her belt, it tells you a bit of a story of like, okay, let's just kind of get our footing here, see what the tempo is going to look like on the side of Ghost first.
Yeah, that's a really good call. And, well, speaking of tempo, how about Ghost Gaming already making their way over towards C? And Misu's already handled both. So you want to talk about just stepping up as the action goes right their way? Absolutely the case. And the pistol's looking very comfortable right now for 100 Thieves. As, well, for Ghost Gaming, it is just down to trying to work through this 3v5 the rest of the way.
Yeah, that's going to be what the tough part in this situation here for Ghost Gaming, right? Trying to isolate some of these fights, but you can already see the discipline and the crossfires being set up here on the side of 100 Thieves. Not looking to give anything away here for free.
Jazzy able to get a read that there is a rotation over towards the front doors at B. Smoke does influence the angle, pushes it off, and maybe opens the door for Ghost to jump on in and try to force some sort of a spike plant, but really good off the trademark. Melia able to follow up for one before being traded. And how about Ghost still hanging around these smokes? Right clicks are starting to connect, but only for so long. It's Misu for 3 at 100 Thieves with the pistol.
Comfortable start here for the likes of 100 Thieves. And I think, again, going back to that conversation about Misu, you really couldn't ask for a better sub to come in. And so much of that also lends to the flexibility that Emily was talking about on the desk there for Jazzykins. The fact that they have a player that can so easily slot back into that duelist role with Marceline having to step out. And with the wealth of experience that Misu has had on rosters like Disguised, like YFPX. And for her, she's also been playing for a couple years now as well, and has definitely proven her depth in.
All right, whoa, saucy start for Melia. Had to deal with Aerial on the backside, but then also being able to snap over for the second shot to Edith. Once again has Ghost Gaming in a very early 3v5.
And this is something that I think we're going to have to see how Ghost Gaming manage with once the guns come into play, right? When they're running that chamber comp here on the side of 100 Thieves, you're expecting Melia to get a little bit more aggressive, try to go for those deeper lines, especially with the changes to that trademark. Avery's going to try and chase one down. Don't know if it's going to pan out. Two waiting around the corner.
And already the C side of the map taken away by 100 Thieves. So again, just closeting up this Ghost Gaming 3v5, forcing them into some dangerous ground. But keep your eye on Avery, kind of sneaking behind the defense through B. And may try to force out some sort of rotation, but Lydia, way too privy to what was happening, shuts down the flank, and now Ghost Gaming are just trying to salvage anything here in this round.
Should be an easy plant denial and clean up here for Misu, right? A flawless round on the side of 100 Thieves. And this is now where we start to beg the question of Ghost. We have rifles coming into play. They'll have the full loadout as far as that utility goes as well. What is going to be that game plan? Because we were looking at Edith trying to make some of that movement distraction on the Neon there over at Mound, but still not able to find that success in finding those trades up against the Outlaw.
Yeah, really clean stuff. Just, again, numbers advantage early. True bonus going to be in play here for 100 Thieves. Whereas for Ghost Gaming, yeah, you're able to get full Vandals and full armor. So an opportunity to fight as we get a dissection over towards the front side at A. 100 Thieves just really happy to take the fights early, but just over the top of all of the utility, it is Miara able to find first blood, and now forcing Melia to step up and see what they can find as the door towards Tree closes.
Taking a little bit of a breather here as well. Ghost Gaming aware of the fact that they do have that flank open here too. No connection, unfortunately, on the side of Melia, and it'll be that pivot over towards the B site here for Ghost.
Airy spam from Slandy. Not quite able to connect with too much, so Lydia will be the defender that has to step up and try to get something back here in this 4v5 retake opportunity. Long play from Aerial, watching the flank through pillars, while the rest of Ghost Gaming just stay planted on site. And yeah, 100 Thieves are going to wait for the utility to try to bust back into this site.
We do have a decent amount of util to work with here. Slandy has one Prowler left. C's available as well.
Here comes the triple walk down over the middle. Lydia already taking a lot of force, just a couple of spam taps from Avery connect. And honestly, time is running out to really give this a go for a retake here. You really don't even have Slandy in the picture at all, so Prowler and any of the utility from Fade not going to land. And yeah, Ghost Gaming just collapsed right before the retake can even get off the ground, and it's a flawless round in response for Ghost Gaming.
A solid start here on the side of Ghost. I think that you also look at 100 Thieves. They were trying to do some of the economical damage, not really going for that round win, but trying to whittle down that money. But a perfect response coming out of the side of Ghost Gaming to deny that kind of value. Operator online into the 4th round here now for Melia, and this is where we've had that conversation of, okay, how are Ghosts going to set Edith up for that success when they're trying to go for these aggressive pushes, especially with the fact that you're anticipating this op to be online here as well. A little bit more support on the side of 100 Thieves with how closely they're playing together.
Well, similar break off here for the offense, trying to take control of A as fast as humanly possible. The other big monkey right here is this Odin over at Tree. These walls like paper mache, but smoke plus the paranoia allows Ghost to find entry and another first blood. And honestly speaking, if you're 100 Thieves, this is a really tall ask to try to even contest this in any form. They're gonna get Jazzy down over towards drop, but that's enough for Miyar to find now a 5v3 with a trade-off.
Yeah, unless you find some sort of pick early, this is a round where I'm looking for these players to honestly save the weapons that they have in hands here, and Misu's not even going to be able to recover that operator on the side of 100 Thieves. So a change in tempo once we got those rifles online here, right? Working well to push Melia off of these sight lines with the sniper rifle. What I'm looking from 100 Thieves is if they are looking to set her up a little bit deeper on some of those lines, would be a little bit of that support. You want someone to be able to shoot out that haunt. Yes, there is that get out of jail free card with the TP back there as well for certain, but they're just not finding that comfort in contesting, and with how Ghosts like to really pump the gas on the attack there as well, they've been doing a great job of isolating and putting these 100 Thieves players on an island.
Yeah, I mean, it's early days right now, but you're absolutely right. Like Ghost Gaming, even after facing resistance in their first 2 rounds where they're trying to play with aggression, you know, really it was, you know, Misu who did a lot of the mitigation of that opening aggression in round 1 and round 2, but Ghost Gaming not staying away from their playbook. I think you really saw that in round 3, where Jazzy's trying to play forward for 100 Thieves. You've got the cross section of fast lanes, and Ghost Gaming are still able to kind of out-util that front A position for first blood in 2 consecutive rounds. Save coming up here for 100 Thieves. It will be a hero rifle for Misu. Opportunity to try to flex something, as it looks like 100 Thieves are going to stack the front doors at B, and also see if the Headhunter can provide its namesake over at C Mound, but yeah, Ghost Gaming aware that, okay, let's not fall into any traps. Let's let this all settle down and just play with their weapon advantage.
Yeah, they're expecting some sort of aggression to come out from the defenders, right? You even saw Melia trying to bait out a little bit of that info, some re-clearing utility. The Prowler does come through. He's still up.
Now rendezvousing back. Offense still taking their time, soaking up the alt orb at C. Does get them closer to a couple of key ultimates as we get deeper into this first half, and more particularly as 100 Thieves will be close to a Ford. I think just on top of that, you're also looking at Melia just 1 away from the tour de force, which could be an influence point for round number 6, and Ghost Gaming will set themselves up. Here comes the predictability if that fault line does come out. Smoke, Prowler, fault line, fast line, free entry to C, and 100 Thieves are just going to run back over to A.
Yeah, just not aware yet that the hit is there, but with the amount of time that's passed by, it's going to be the whole crowd looking to make that rotation together, play that advantage in numbers at the very least. But on the side of Ghost Gaming, this is a squad where they are not going to allow those ones to be given away so easily.
No, especially with the barrier mesh holding off Waterfall. This will be lambs to the slaughter if 100 Thieves try to actually force their way back in for a retake, and you can see by Misu backing away, and the other 4 just kind of standing on this tight gravel position. Likely not going to be much in terms of trying to actually contest for this. Maybe find a kill or 2, or just sacrifice your life to the spike. there's that final fault line, and 100 Thieves will sit here and see if they can catch an exit or two, which Edith is in a little bit of danger potentially, but is able to sprint away. 100 Thieves will fall to the spike, except for Bisu, and we'll get a 3-2 tally.
Yeah, just saving the Phantom that she had invested in earlier in the round. And now this is where we're looking for that adjustment on the side of 100 Thieves. I think the idea of some of that aggression has been good, but again, that re-clear utility has been so strong coming out from Ghost Gaming. And in rounds where they're expecting, you know, that Outlaw, that operator to potentially be online, not going to be a worry here, unless they go Glass Cannon on the side of Melia, where it looked like maybe that was a consideration for just a moment.
It seemed it. But with the tour de force coming up next, they're just going to hold off, play it with rifles. Odin is in hand for Slandy, playing this time over towards the small door. As possible paranoia contact defense could be the idea here for 100 Thieves with this little bit of surround. But Jazzy's shoulder gets seen, and the Odin on the cross shut down as well. Nisu provides at least 2 in return, leaving Lydia to try to fight for her own life. And that will work out nicely to get us back to a 2v2, but Lydia's still in some danger here as Miara tries to break down the site, and Avery makes their way on too.
It's a great reposition at the very least. Might get one. Sees just the barrel in the lineup nearly there. Miara manages to sneak back into tree. Opportunity to open the door. Lots of time to play here with Shift.
So the idea is kill a little bit of noise, see if you can find some contact, and ooh, Miara gets just a little bit of intel off the cape of Lydia's Oven. It does not make a difference. Shot lands, 100 Thieves respond, and we're tied at 3.
It's a huge round coming out from Lydia and Misu, though. It starts off with Ghost finding an advantage of a 5v3. Misu somehow manages to get those trades over in A short with Lydia to clean up the rest of the round. Tying things up like you were saying here, and I like the adjustments I think coming out from both these squads. Cleaner trades coming out on the side of 100 Thieves into that round.
Let's go.
And then for Ghost Gaming, again, you see them often moving as that pack because they're trying to take advantage of that utility they have.
Oh, has Melia been seen on this crossover? Not the case. Clean opening shot shuts down Edith, and once more with the Viper's Pit in play. The brakes have to be hit here for Ghost Gaming after the first blood comes through. And I will say, Misu has been unbelievable so far through these first 6 1/4 rounds.
Yeah, she has had incredible impact for her team. The second Prowler now being drawn out. And on top of that, you also have that trademark still watching. And you know it's going to be that pivot over towards that B site. The pit was perfect bait. Not going to be actually... Oh, are they moving into B? Won't be the case. Still hovering outside of C here on the side of Ghost.
Well, see if Melia will be called to action. Jazz will be playing on the Crossfire setup. And with no Edith, this means that this will once more have to be something like potentially a Rolling Thunder or just a little bit of smoke and fault line play just to try to get entryway in towards the site, but they don't check the corners. Teleport comes through. Melia doesn't like the look of it, so teleports away themselves, leaving Jazzy to try to see if they can follow up. Avery pushing forward, able to scale deeper in towards B, and how about this? An opportunity to play this post plant through small. Well, 1v1 between the Omens could determine the outcome of this round. Avery thinking about it. Lydia executing on some patience, waiting for the rest of the defense to make their way through, and Lydia's able to find one. Step away, paranoid to keep their lives, and now a huge advantage for the 100 Thieves retake.
They're aware both players are stuck over towards A-Link here as well. Rolling Thunder invested into this round by Kataris.
Whoa, and Kataris follows up beautifully, but Melia able to get the response to the 1v1 off the reload. Avery backing away. Time becoming an issue for the defuse. Melia gonna try to hop on it. There's the teleport, at least to fake the sound cue. Melia not gonna be baited. Gonna try to hold on to it. Follow up, and Avery clutches the round. What a call for Kataris to drop in the Rolling Thunder, and they survive through a 2v4 for a critical round win.
Gorgeous utility being invested there by Ghost Gaming to turn the round on its head with how they were stuck into A-Link. You would have thought that was a round that 100 Thieves should have had in the bag. Now, left on the back foot and having to go for like a half-buy eco situation on the side of the defenders here. We do have that tool de force available in the hands of Melia. But again, it's going to be consistently a lot of these like 4-1 splits. knowing that that operator can be such a threat, ensuring that they're going to have that utility to re-clear it through. Maybe we're expecting it over at this C site, but all of that A control now in the hands of 100 Thieves.
At least for now. And you're going to trust the stinger of Misu to try to get something down at the front door of C. Nightfall comes through. No risk, no reward type situation, and the aftershock will find the kill. Now the rotation back through mid door. 100 Thieves are going to find a couple on the backside of display. That's a spike down, and Jazz able to follow up for one more. Edith feeling the pressure, knowing that they've got an advantage on site themselves, and will try to bait the sound cue out just a touch for the plant, but instead, Ghost Gaming thinking about bailing and re-rotating.
No, they don't want to allow these guns to be picked up just for free alongside of Ghost Gaming, right? Going to maintain this bend control and with the deep information towards CT as well, expecting everybody on the flank.
Well, Edith also has the overdrive. Smokes will come back through on both sides. Opening shots clean. No follow-up here, at least not initially. And what are we looking at? Are there comms on? Edith gets one for free. Turning, trying to deal with Lydia. Not going to happen. Oh! Pistol shot lands. Oh, my goodness. Fireworks here early. 100 Thieves respond with what might not be classified as an eco-thrifty round, but give them the benefit of it anyways as the Red Bull clutch comes through for Lydia.
An insane round on the side of 100 Thieves. You have to remember, for the most part, they had Sheriffs and Classics going into that one, and it was a great fast flood trying to pinch from that B door. It was nearly in the hands of Ghost Gaming, though. This is going right down to the wire shift. Both these teams well and evenly matched here, round for round, and coming down to so many heroic moments here as well from these players.
It's been expect the unexpected in these last couple of rounds in particular, as we're going to get another full purchase round coming through. Ultimates to keep an eye on, mostly looking at the annihilation from the offensive side. Misu playing up top on ropes at A. Different setup in terms of how they have the Odin position, because right now Slandius is over towards B. So this is a very free initial look at A for Ghost Gaming, but how do you clear up top side of ropes? That's going to be the big question here if you're Ghost.
Worst case scenario, there is the annihilation in the hands of Ariel if everything does go awry.
Gotta go.
Smoke will pause things for now. There's the Prowler. Good relay bolt to pause off the retake attempt. And Ghost Gaming will get a read that, yep, a lot of this defensive force is over towards the top side of A, so they'll back up over towards Tree. Here comes the overdrive for Jazz. Entryway by way of the Haunt. Chipping away at a couple of defenders on this post pipe, but runs out of steam.
Oh my
Slandy
God.
follows up, though. It's 2 for 1. 100 Thieves to the advantage. Now down to a 3v3. Time becoming an issue. Jazz gonna hop on to try to get this defuse started. Who's gonna challenge this? Misu says absolutely nobody, and Jazz can hold to get the sneak defuse right under the nose of Ghost Gaming's post plant.
That just gets so awkward with the front sight positioning. You have players playing for A main there as well, all while the spike is tucked in and planted solely for Tree. An incredible flood in on the retake, but off the back of great responsive utility that you pointed out there. A shift over towards Heaven on A. You had that relay bolt off the back of the Prowler that had come through to try and deny that push past the one-way.
I'm too far.
It's actually insane how close these rounds are, how chaotic they're getting as well.
Well, even with that round win, 100 Thieves will be on less purchase than Ghost Gaming with that cleanup that happened post-defuse. And Ghost Gaming are understanding, I think, that they had a round in front of them right there for free. So an opportunity to try to re-hit this A site in back-to-back rounds. Fault line will clear off part of the backside of the site. Misu an opportunity to try to find an opener, but not able to connect, and will go to a 5v5 post plant.
Same positioning as we saw last time, out of Edith over towards top site. This time the support of the Paranoia from Avery available here as well. Fault line waiting, but it's a crunch this time around.
Edith trying to get deeper into sight, doesn't see the player in the backside, but still a 1-for-1 exchange. Defense making this long push over through the backside at A, now finding some success to get back onto site. Miara not able to hear too much. Jazzy trying to hop back on again for a sneak defuse. Not going to happen this time. Any more heroics for 100 Thieves? 2v3 situation. Numbers with Thieves as Jazz is able to get this to halfway. Avery, Katarist trying to follow up. The shots are clean though, and Misu is able to find both. Enough time for Slandy to get the defuse, and 100 Thieves pull off another miracle.
The super sub has had so much impact on the side of 100 Thieves. These retakes have been so beautiful out of them as well. I have really enjoyed the ideas that Ghost Gaming are putting into the server, right? Going a little bit more aggressively for that top site control, but then it feels like at times, I guess in the midst of chaos, they get a little bit tunnel visioned with that initial goal and kind of forgetting the fact that, okay, if we take top site, that becomes really awkward for us if they start flooding in towards front site, especially where that spike is planted, and it becomes really uncomfortable to try and deny that defuse.
Well, Ghost Gaming not electing for a timeout here, and I don't necessarily blame them because in all it's really forms of these approaches, it's been good. It's just been a couple of the gunfights just haven't gone their way. And I think in particular that opening shot from Melia in the last round, like you mentioned, kind of keeps that long flank from the defense incognito. Misu once again stepping forward, in some trouble this time, but Oris, oh my goodness gracious.
She's a
trade is
right
there,
now.
but Misu is literally not losing ones.
Like, she's getting hers every single time.
Spike planted.
Spike does go down. Annihilation still being held down too. Avery in some significant trouble, concussed, blinded, absolutely muted as Jazz finds one, but does get roped into the cocoon. Is there a follow-up? A couple of the shots will come through. Can they free Jazz? They do! So maybe an opportunity to use that to move the aim on over, but Ariel's able to find a double. Avery down low, tough gunfight, followed up by Miara for the trade to the 1v1. Lydia versus Miara has the conditioning come through with these toggles on the spike. One tag from Miara through the box. Now being held, and Miara will check to make sure it doesn't get to halfway, and Ghost Gaming break up what had been a slew of rounds for Under Thieves.
Round in the half.
These rounds have genuinely been so short because Ghost Gaming have been doing a great job of trying to abuse that A site, knowing that 100 Thieves much prefer to play that retake, but then there's always so much utility for 100 Thieves to reinvest into that round with how they're happy to give that space up for free. A full pivot this time around coming out from Ghost, shifting back over towards these C site hits that we saw earlier in this half from this squad. And for 100 Thieves, they're going for this aggressive approach, right? It's another kind of gimme round where you've got a couple players on some low-buy weapons. Misu trying to hold down the fort here, alone towards the C site, stinger in hand. One molly available to try and delay a little bit further while the rest of the team gets this rotation over.
I mean, this is just the power of what we've seen, though, and how these first 12 rounds have gone. 100 Thieves have shown aggression with full weapons. They also showed it on their bonus, so they're no strangers to still playing into these rounds with some speed, regardless of their arsenal. So, some considerations here for Ghost. This is something that's unique, though. Surely, if you're Ghost Gaming, though, you predict this and have to throw some utility to make sure you can get through this choke point safely, but instead, they go for just kind of a raw peek. Relay Bolt will pull this back and give an opportunity for some of the defense to rotate over if they choose to, but all things told, right now it is Jazz by themselves.
Getting revealed by that haunt, fully forced to fall back off of site now and play that full retake. Nightfall invested just in case you stick around towards backside.
Amelia will reveal themselves, but can rendezvous back up top to safety. Ghost now finally getting the spike on play, and Edith is able to make their way over through ropes to find first blood. Slandy, though, down low, able to find some contest. A little bit of spam also landing, softening up this post-plant defense with Miara. Edith are combining for the eliminations that they need. Just down to Lydia. 1v4. Otherwise, we exit the half 6-6. Barrier mesh broken, spam avoided, but time and opportunity is running out. There's the dark cover up and over, trying to isolate, but Katarist will deny and will end the half 6-6.
A great half coming out from both of these squads. I cannot wait to see how things are going to develop now that we're seeing them swap sides.
What a half. I mean, how do you recap this right now? If you're looking at this, Ash, give me your thoughts.
I think it's so hard because both these teams have thrown out like different ideas in a lot of the rounds that we saw. Like there was a little bit of that early conditioning with those C hits, but then once we went over towards A, it was a lot of that retake simulator coming out from 100 Thieves. I think now where it gets interesting is that we're expecting maybe a different look in the pistol round, because you're looking at Ghost Gaming getting like pretty aggressive here with like a lot of these combos here for Rebel. But for the side of 100 Thieves with their composition, generally, they're not going to be pumping the gas as hard as Ghost Gaming were on the attack.
Yeah, I hear that. I think there is something, again, just talking about this breach and using that as the focal point, you know, that Ender was kind of saying at the end of the death segment there. You have the ability of still throwing out an early fault line and playing the aggression for Edith, but then afterwards, as you're waiting for that to recharge, how do you supply some delay into what 100 Thieves could potentially do? And maybe it is by trying to move up positions on the map, but Melia able to connect for one. Avery responds with one of their own, but not enough to deny 100 Thieves from having free vacancy on the C site.
Ghost Gaming are pretty close on their heels, though, with how fast this rotations come in, and you've still got Melia lurking all the way over at A. She's gonna have to rush on over, though, if that spike does get initiated.
Oh, here's another opportunity. Lydia just outside the dark cover, able to connect on Kataris, leaving Aerial by themselves, and this is the heads-up play. You've got Melia, who's taken the long route all the way to the backside of C, so why not just safely rotate over to the free A site,
30 seconds
get
left.
your plant, and hopefully catch Aerial off guard for a freebie.
She's heard that rotation, though, and with the way that it kind of snuck over towards B site, I wonder if Aerial is going to be aware of that positioning coming out from Melia. Yeah, the reclear coming in.
There's the 1v1 starting to unfold. Melia still trying to bait it out, and cheeky little peek. Able to find the elimination. 100 Thieves will take the second pistol here in map number 1 and set themselves up for maybe some more of that pop-off outlaw play we saw from the first half.
That's something that could work really well here on the attacking side of 100 Thieves as well, considering how Ghost have been playing this push and pull, especially over towards Rebel in the first round that we saw. A little bit of a different setup this time around, though. Kataris going to be the player over towards that C side, have the fault line to delay for the rotation coming in from the remainder of Ghost, but it's not going to be that aggression this time around. They're going to play turtled onto site, try and goad 100 Thieves into an execution.
Yeah, I mean, this is just one of those things that with classics, you can only do so much. So your playbook gets really, really thin from the defensive side, so just going to do the old-fashioned huddle up and stack mentality at A, see if they've guessed correctly to try to get some trades. Maybe overwhelm with force of numbers, but all 500 Thieves members are here and walking their way pretty darn quickly up main. Does Miara find any timing on these peaks? I don't believe so, and woof, that is a lineup and a half. Planty will finish where Jazz had started, but these are decent in terms of just overall classic trades for Ghost.
Yeah, 2v3, not too bad. It's all about how long we can see Miara surviving on site for. It'll just be up to Kataris now in the 1v3 scenario, trying to do a little bit of this damage. Dink to come in, but not much more. An 8th round on the board here for 100 Thieves. They've managed to get both the pistol rounds, right? It set them up nicely, but Ghost had done such a good job also in that first half that we saw, clawing things back after they got a little bit of a feeling of how 100 Thieves are trying to play.
And honestly, you just go back to kind of that 3 rounds in a row that you see for 100 Thieves, in 8, 9 in particular. A lot of that just kind of came down to individual gunfight wins. I mean, flat out, if Ghost Gaming win 1 gunfight or just stop Misu from finding 2 or 3, the round looks completely different. So I think if you're looking at this from Ghost's perspective, you're feeling pretty confident in your ability to keep playing to what you know. Still have not seen a timeout from either side as Melia is able to connect with the early operator. I mean, that is as early as it gets, friends. And Melia has been so clutch so far on every single scope weapon that they've been able to purchase.
Now we're taking a little bit of a breather on the side of the attackers. Everybody looking to try and regroup while you've got Melia still holding down the 4 over on A just to see if any additional information will be revealed. Spots ahead of Aerial there as well.
Ready.
So they know that they're not really expecting the deadlock setup over here on this side.
Well, here comes the approach. Jazz will find entry, also deny the haunt. Aftershock slows things down, we are able to find 1 on the entry. The brilliant response to now make it a 4v4. Defense quickly trying to rotate over, but they're not going to get here in time. Miara surviving, though, is critical. 25 on the clock until they can get the refresh on the ability. So maybe a chance to just pause, use Waterfall as a repitch type position, but Melia shuts it down. GrabNet was on the way in, and now the Crossfires will win the site for 100 Thieves.
And a huge round win for 100 Thieves here as well, right? Having such like a comfortable bonus that they were heading into and really being able to stack up their economy for Ghost. The first time out that we're seeing being called in this map so far, and they're looking to make those adjustments. The defense hasn't been going their way. I think we saw the typical like breach comp gameplay in the first round over on the pistol with a lot of that aggression that was coming through, but since then they've had to sit back, right? But that was the round that they were expecting to win, to try and bring things back, try and tie things up a little bit earlier into the second half.
Yeah, I always kind of feel like if you lose the pistol in the follow-up, you're not really panicking in terms of your defensive setups and your mentalities, but with the pressure of 100 Thieves winning both pistols and anti-ecos, and now being in combination of a bonus, now you do start to panic a little bit, because you're assuming that this is going to be a 10-6 tally with the weapons that are going to be purchased for 100 Thieves, whereas Ghost will largely just be on pistol upgrades at best. So you need to just kind of re-lock in, like, all right, you kind of throw away the pistol and the follow-up a touch, but allowing 100 Thieves to get away with a bonus does cause some insecurity into what your game plan is. So this might just be a protocol check. Like, okay, let's just make sure we're doing this, that, and the other thing. Stretch them together. Bring this thing back level to neutral, and who knows? I mean, based on what we've seen, Game Changer Sheriffs have often been, well, more successful than maybe your regular Ratchets will go.
There's no denying that. That's for certain. But I'm curious to see what the game plan is going to be from the side of Ghost Gaming heading into this round with that eco. Looking for some of that early information outside of C, taking that mound control early, and it's been a little bit of a flip-flop. Melia actually holding down the fort over on the left side of this map as opposed to towards A this time around. And again, that pause, right? Expecting some more of that aggression on the anti-eco, a little bit more of a gimmick play. Both Prowlers already invested, though, on the side of 100 Thieves. And now a little bait TP out for Avery while you've still got Edith crossed over to the right.
Well, similarly to Ghost's offense when they were a little limited in purchase, 100 Thieves, just making sure that they're not doing anything too crazy. Can we find a free first blood and then just run it down?
Oh,
Edith is in a 1-for-1 position. One would be fine. And it looks like you're right. 100 Thieves are stacking up and being very cautious of anyone who could potentially be sitting over C Mount.
It's such a good read from 100 Thieves.
Oh, mercy. You don't see that too often. Edith not able to connect, and that means the floodgates have opened for 100 Thieves to get on C.
Yeah, definitely rare misses coming out from them, that's for certain. Is this play really hinging on the fact that that barrier or barrier mesh gets broken so late over towards A that Ghost imagined it was that hit over towards the A side, that rotation.
Trap destroyed.
Now Melia. Easy trade there. Lydia also able to connect on to Avery, so Ghost Gaming will see the opportunity of a thrifty pretty much fade away unless Miara is able to do something heroic, but does not look like they're in a position to really do too much, just kind of playing a couple of sound cues. And likely this will be a forfeit of the rest of the round, getting 100 Thieves to that anticipated 10th.
But this is not the round where we're looking to see something crazy off the back of that timeout, right? It's the one that's coming up. This one was just for Ghost to see if they were able to do anything with the round, and they don't manage to get it done, so double digits on the side of 100 Thieves. But this is where we're really anticipating the major changes to come through. Operator into the hands of Edith now. Looks like they will be playing over towards that C side here as well. Let's see what the support is going to look like, with Lydia mainly being the one to be by their side. So you can expect, you know, the paranoia to come out as in a response to try and help Edith reposition if they are met with some of that pushback.
Critical round though here for Ghost Gaming. Not a must win at the moment, but it's going to feel pretty crucial to try to lock this up and swing some of the momentum, especially the economical status of 100 Thieves around. So no aggression like you call, and I think this is the right idea for Ghost. Let's play a little bit more reactive, use our utility late, kind of like what 100 Thieves did to us.
Yeah, they did invest a lot into like reclearing just information and space. For 100 Thieves, they do well to also play pretty quietly onto this default, trying to draw some of that util out from Ghost Gaming. So they can't all be dumped as they try to go for an execution.
The Prowler forces a smoke and the barrier mesh that's going to isolate Aerial away from this play, but looks like it's coming over at B. Jazz able to find one on that slide back through, but Ghost Gaming's defense holding strong, at least for now. Still an opportunity, though, for 100 Thieves to stay planted on the B site. And the follow-up elimination gets us to a 3v3. Operators are in hand for both squads at the moment, but Ghosts are going to be a little bit bamboozled by this rotation. It's just going to be down to, can you work through either tree or this barrier mesh to get on site with still sensors in play, and Aerial's able to use one of those to get a one follow-up elimination.
Plan to go down here for main as well, with the op sneaking through over towards stairs. We still have a flank incoming, though. Edith's position might just be there in time to catch Melia out, tucked in a corner, won't be spotted quite yet.
Well, this is all about hoping you get a sound cue on some sort of a drop down from ropes for this post plant.
Timing here.
Melia looks the wrong way at the wrong time. Oh my goodness, what just happened? Avery got put on Reddit. Aerial's able to at least find the response, but Lydia now knows where this 1v2 is going to be coming from. Dancing, bouncing is Edith. Bodyguard is Aerial. First shots, not quite able to land, and Ghost Gaming survive and get themselves a crucial 7th round.
A great double swing coming in there to put that round into the bed, but a big portion of that comes down to Edith on that flank, being able to make that noise with the relay bolt, having that opportunity for the rest of Ghost Gaming to try and collapse onto stairs. Sure, an insane shot still comes out for Melia to connect with Avery there, but the cleanup to find that advantage was everything that they needed to close the round out.
Woof. For a moment there, you saw some daylight. But as mentioned, Ghost Gaming really needed that 7th round, and they do convert it, but it comes with some punish. Operator still in hand, 2 shotguns will make its way to the arsenal, and there we go, Edith. Able to connect just over the top of the mound onto Jazz.
Gotta go.
And an early 5v4 starts to develop here for the defense.
Already do have some of that rebel control contested here by Melia as well. Walking up to gain a little bit more of that space, and they're not aware that Edith has not repositioned towards A with the operator in hand.
Well, spam for spam through the dark cover. Melia just through the small door away from Kataris, who has a Vandal in hand. So Ghost Gaming are in the right spots. If this ends up being some sort of a kind of methodical development of an A hit, I mean, there's really not an opportunity to rotate unless you go through Kataris' position.
Main person I've got to have my eyes on right now is what Misu's going to be able to do with this B main positioning to try and salvage this round, considering the 4-player stack here on A.
Face your fear!
Now Nightfall comes through, Edith able to connect for one. Kataris holding strong at small. Misu follows for at least the initial trade, but not much more beyond that. And Ghost Gaming very comfortable, even considering the weaponry in the round 18 position. And now, free upgrades into weapons has us looking at the eco completely switching sides.
And a timeout to be called in response by the side of 100 Thieves, not looking to allow Ghost Gaming to chain any more rounds together. I feel like in that round we saw how tough it is for 100 Thieves to try and make that space when Jazzykins does get taken down early on with her ability to be that hard dive for the team. It's so much harder to break up a lot of those traps, catch them off guard with that tempo, and they're forced to slow things down when their tip of the spear isn't online. But again, we have anticipated that slower play, but I feel like you hit the nail on the head earlier, Shift. We're seeing a lot more reactive play coming out of Ghost Gaming as opposed to being a little over proactive with their utility. So they do have those tools when it comes down to the actual firefights.
So I guess the question now, as we've gotten a little bit of a, remittance on what Ghost Gaming have needed to do, and they've been able to supply the answer. How do you go off this timeout if you're 100 Thieves? Again, they were able to afford in this next round. You've got things like Overdrive, the Tour de Force, which should be pulled out here from Elia, plus also a Viper's Pit. But the issue has been success on gaining ground inside the site. So where's your head look to, or what agents do you look to try to step up and find more creative success for 100 Thieves on these openings?
I think what's a little difficult here is that in the kits of 100 Thieves, you don't really have an agent that deals with the deadlock utility really easily, where you can break up those sound sensors. And then maybe a little bit too much respect being given to the barrier mesh. I feel like it dropping so much later into the round just provides so much passive information to the side of Ghost Gaming. So once that does get thrown down, we're hopefully going to see this being broken up immediately by Lydia, just to add that additional pressure here towards the seaside.
I like that. Try to stretch the defense a touch. The problem is, look at Ghost Gaming's forward position here at A. Sue, opportunity to try to isolate, but does not expect that two were there. So another first blood, a little monkey wrench, curveball thrown out by Ghost Gaming. Fast lane out, Prowler in the middle of it. VR trying to step up to stop this play, but the Overdrive is still going to be committed to either way. Defense responding with the Rolling Thunder, and why not? Perfect. Now a 5v3, and 100 Thieves are stuck outside of C.
Mid-side smoke does provide a little bit of that cover and opportunity for Ghost Gaming to flood back onto the C site here as well.
Lydia able to find one. Any more heroics? Yeah, the Tour de Force connects. Hold your horses. 3v3. Kataris only with flashes for now. But who follows up off of that? You're not going to send in the deadlock. So one blind goes out. A second trying to be queued up as Slandy's working on the plant. Melia watching towards Mount. Fast lane out. Edith going quick with an overdrive of their own. Finds the first. Snaps to get the second. But Melia hits, but not enough to reset to find more. Beautiful play from Edith, and Ghost Gaming have brought us back to within one and completely, essentially broken a lot of this economy for 100 Thieves.
The overdrive, such a huge piece of that. There's no way Edith is able to get those two picks in bend, like doing a full 180, unless it's on that neon ult for the accuracy while you're moving. I think it's been a great resurgence into the second half here out of Ghost Gaming, especially off the back of 100 Thieves timeout, where you're seeing a couple adjustments going into their game plan as well, trying to draw out some of that defender-sided utility a little earlier into the round and sell a couple of those kind of like rotation / like fake plays there as well. But now this time, seeing all 5 players here grouped outside of A.
Oh, and it's just peak for peak. Edith in the proper position. Gets the free first blood again. And now the first bloods are starting to really determine the outcome of these rounds here in the second half.
Just taking a beat now. Again, the slower defaults has been the expectation of 100 Thieves, but I also feel like we haven't seen them use the lurk ability of the double controller as much.
There.
There's been a lot of information given with the utility that we do see thrown down. Maybe opportunity to cut some noise, but added pressure with the door opening here for Tree.
Relay bolt drops in, but Kataris is not affected by it, but Lydia saves a life. So now Force on towards the A site. Ghost Gaming with Avery already committed into drop. Gonna have to try to save their lives on the way back. Nightfall gonna come through the Viper's Pit, but doesn't actually allow an opportunity to break down this coast plan because everyone's already exited back over towards Tree. Not a bad idea to try to at least spam some of that location out, but all things told, the offense still comfortable, but the commitment is already in here for Ghost. Annihilation blindly come through. It does connect onto Slandy. Lydia off this little mini pinch through mid.
Still waiting.
Will work out to find another. Sacrificing the life of Slandy. Will be 100 Thieves, and the spam's gonna work out. Now it's just down with these Odins. Can you just spam through the rest of this Viper's Pit? Lydia, Nisu still trying to hang. VR's able to spam out another. Just down to Lydia. Not quite able to find the lineup, and Ghost Gaming get us levelly tied at 10.
It's been such good retakes coming out from Ghost Gaming. The responses when it comes down to a lot of these fights that are coming out here as well, very similar to what we saw out of 100 Thieves in the first half when they were on defense. A lot of those fast floods, the early fights, not allowing the planters to get comfortable into that post-plant positioning and trying to contest that space early, making it uncomfortable. Now it's such 100 Thieves to figure out that success into the post plants as well. I think what's difficult is with how quick ghosts are to rotate there too. It doesn't leave a lot of opportunities to go for a deeper line into one of the chokes where you're expecting the defenders to push back in from. But I did like that initial showing of presence, very similar to what we were seeing in the last round outside of A, before they took a moment to cut noise just for a beat before shifting that tempo back into high gear.
Well, the tempo this round, at least through the perspective of Ghost, will be pretty null, pretty stationary with an op and 2 Odins in the mix. But the, again, ability just to spam through some of this smoke and Viper utility becomes extremely dangerous for 100 Thieves. So hearing that Odin, they're going to back away and try to feel out what's going on at C, where Edith is playing the same angle that she had done prior. And there could be contact here. Just comes down to, do they smoke this off? Will Ariel be in a position to try to save this? Denies the first, and okay, everyone stays alive with 35 in the clock.
Barrier mesh up, 30 seconds left. It's going to be this quick pivot towards the B site, which is perfect for Misu's positioning outside of A. I don't know if that broken door has been dealt with quite yet, but there could be an opportunity to wrap around stairs if not.
Well, Spike gets down safely. The Odin spam not going to really do too much to this setup. And I think you're just about to ask this, Ash. How do you break back into this from the defense with 2 Odins and an operator? It's going to have to be a hero shot, but no. Instead, it's Jazz to shut down the opening. Follow-up spam, at least starting to connect in some regard. Katara's able to get back onto site. 100 Thieves, how do you try to stop potential defuse? You rendezvous back away from it, but stepping up is Katara's for another. Ghost Gaming now on the site with time. Starts to benefit towards 100 Thieves. Just down to Lydia for the 1v2. Ariel already sticking. Tries to teleport on in, and it goes right into the waiting arms of Avery. Ghost Gaming continue to put them together round by round and now have the lead.
Such a good flood coming in. I did like the idea of maintaining that A-link space there on the side of 100 Thieves, but what I would have really loved to see was someone taking that timing through stairs, trying to pinch back in through upper on that B side, because when everyone is funneled into such a small space, when you've got abilities like the paranoia, like the fault line up, it becomes so awkward to try and contest that defuse, especially when the controller is online and you can smoke off that diffuser as well. But second timeout to now be invested by 100 Thieves. The first one used during round 19. They haven't been able to break up the chain of rounds that Ghost Gaming have been able to garner yet.
What a bounce back. And you go back to round 15, the bonus round. 100 Thieves, pretty darn clean in the third round of this half. And you start to really panic for Ghost. You look at round 17, that was when it was 10-6. It gets to 10-7, a crucial round for Ghost. But since then, it really has been absolute domination. I mean, I say that, and I actually kind of cringe at myself a little bit. I mean, really, it's been just a lot of key gunfight wins for Ghost. I mean, this has got instant classic written all over it to get us kicked off here. But if you're 100 Thieves, it's just, I feel like these rounds that you've seen the last couple are really stressful and, you know, really anxiety-inducing, because it's just like, I feel like we're doing all the right stuff. We're just losing out on a couple of the gunfights within the utility that's being used for Ghost.
It's definitely tough in that regard.
Where are you?
A lot of the firefights have absolutely been going their way. I think the spacing has been really good there as well. But again, a revisit towards this A side. 3 rounds in a row now that we've seen that coming out from 100 Thieves. The least amount of presence that we've seen. It's a full retake setup here on the side of Ghost Gaming. Edith having to get out of dodge with the operator online, dropping down over towards drop here as well.
Oh, they line up for the collateral. I was about to say, this is kind of a bait from 100 Thieves. Not fully committing off the Nightfall, seeing if they can pull off Ghost Gaming's defensive utility, which has been such a nuisance to them. But instead, it's just down to an op collat, and the Odins doing what the Odins do best. Oh, another frustrating one there from 100 Thieves, as Edith will connect for 3 in total. Give them the benefit of also getting the defuse as Ghost Gaming get to their map pick.
And we can see why this is Ghost Gaming's map pick, right? I think there were two different storylines that we had when it came to Lotus heading into map number 1 of today's best of 3, and it was 100 Thieves having not touched this map before. Maybe they were going to pull something out crazy to catch Ghost Gaming off guard, which is definitely tough to do when you also have a sub coming in for the squad as well, right? Kind of shifting these roles around compared to what you're typically used to scrimming on their side versus a Ghost who, this is one of their best maps on Lotus, a map they've shown a lot on. They've also been so consistent, but we're seeing now that the reps that Ghost Gaming have had in official events has definitely added a little bit more of that depth, I think, to the approach here of Lotus on both sides.
Agreed. Wow. Some unlucky moments, some blessings through smoke spam. And then, of course, a little bit of icing starting to be put on the cake with that collateral. 100 Thieves just kind of throwing everything at this C site. The sensors, though, stalling it pretty considerably. Now you've got Ghost Gaming with the triple stack making their way through Waterfall.
Katara's
And some of that,
kill.
yeah, it also includes a little bit of the Odin gameplay, but a little bit of a scale deep forced by Jazz does maybe provide an opportunity, but still these heavy weapons from Ghost Gaming continue to connect, and we've got ourselves a 3v3.
I love the aggression over towards CT at the very least, taking a little bit more of that space and off angle to catch them off guard. And now it's down to 1. Edith, 1v3 here.
Spike
Thinking about it, and why not? Overdrive, and now a Vandal to work with. First shot's perfect. Now you've got the finger guns out. Zip, zap, zoom! Oh my goodness! Jazz gets completely blindsided by the aggressive push through and then the low health pool to get finished off. Edith will find a 1v3 Red Bull clutch for the map. Unbelievable stuff to get.